With the World Cup group stages officially ended, we saw Mexico and South Korea spreading joy amongst each other. On paper, it should make no sense as to why this would be the case, though. This made me wonder, what are the strangest international football love stories? Well, I've compiled a few for you with the context as to why. Okay, picking up where I left off, Mexico and South Korea. For this one, we don't need to go back all too long. It's the end of the group stages of the 2018 FIFA World Cup. Mexico leads Group F with 6 points. Sweden follows with 3, and Germany just behind with 3. South Korea are at the bottom with 0. Mexico survive and win the group with merely 1 point against Sweden. However, Sweden went out and smashed Mexico 3-0. With the Germany South Korea match level at the 90th minute, a German goal would knock out Mexico. However, South Korea pulled off the unthinkable and scored in the 93rd and 96th minutes to win the game against defending champions Germany 2-0. This meant that Mexico, thanks to South Korea, advanced to the round of 16 to face Brazil. Granted, they lost, but without South Korea, Mexico would have potentially gone home in the group stages. Canada and the Netherlands. Canada and the Netherlands are more than just friends on the pitch, but in their governments. The countries of Canada and the Netherlands have a complex, special relationship that prompts Canadians and Dutchmen to support each other's national teams whenever possible. This goes back to 1945, when the Canadian Army took over responsibility of liberating the Netherlands from that guy. The Canadians liberated the entirety of the Netherlands, making the Dutch view us as liberators. On the pitch, Dutch side SC Cambuur, after threats from US President Donald Trump to annex Canada as the 51st state, showed solidarity to Canada by placing maple leaves on their jerseys. As a Canadian myself, I am in a prime position to speak for my countrymen when I say that we do, in fact, support the Netherlands more than most other nations. However, we won't on July 4th when we face in Houston. But trust me, 120 minutes plus a Canadian victory on penalties won't undo 80 years of close allyship and partnership with the Dutch. Trinidad and Tobago and Sweden. No, I'm being completely serious. In 2006, Trinidad and Tobago qualified for the FIFA World Cup for the first time in their history. Most national teams would look at a random Caribbean debutant and say, oh, we got this. But Sweden did not. In fact, got this. On June 10th, 2006, the two teams played to a nil-nil draw. While the result frustrated the Swedes, who went in expecting a victory, the draw demonstrated a disciplined defensive display on the part of Trinidad. So even though, of course, the Swedes were pretty angry with themselves that they couldn't beat Trinidad, they respected them for being able to put off Sweden for a nil-nil draw. Trinidad and Tobago and Scotland. Yes, we're back here again. Scotland failed to qualify for the 2006 FIFA World Cup. However, Trinidad and Tobago didn't fail. During the draw, Trinidad was drawn with Scotland's eternal rivals, England. In 2006, an article titled 90-Minute Patriotism was published urging Scots to not only support Trinidad in their game against England, but also in all of their games. This is because of a Trinidadian striker named Jason Scotland. The article claimed that his surname was close enough for Scots to support Trinidad at the 2006 World Cup. Trinidad actually held off England for 83 minutes in their game, but eventually lost the match 2-0. Germany and the United States of America. Okay, this one might be a little bit of a controversial inclusion, but I'm not exactly being paid for this, so I might as well. The Americans and Germans generally share a positive relationship towards each other. For many of the early years in American history, Germans and Irish people were the largest groups of immigrants into the United States. This meant that many Americans shared German ancestry. The Germans returned the favor as they beat the United States 1-0 in the quarterfinals of the 2002 World Cup. For Germany to only beat a CONCACAF nation 1-0 in a World Cup quarterfinals was completely unexpected, and it made the Germans gain inspiration for the Americans. Also, plain and simply, many Americans just generally like the German national team for whatever reason, It is true. Brazil and Portugal. Brazil was a colony of Portugal for many years, when in 1822 they gained independence. You might think that a colony might resent the colonizer, but in Brazil's case, that was not necessarily true. Many Brazilians admired the Portuguese long before a ball was kicked in those nations. Because of a similar language, culture, and many other things the Portuguese brought to Brazil, many Brazilians rightfully viewed Portugal as the Brazil of Europe, therefore supporting them. The reverse is absolutely true. As someone with Portuguese heritage, I see it in my dad. Of course, he loves Portugal with all his heart, but he supports all of the nations formerly under the Portuguese Empire, such as Brazil, Angola, and the legendary Cabo Verde. Canada and India. Okay, speaking from experience, I do believe this to be more one sided than Indians would like to admit. In 2023, an AFC World Cup qualifying match between Qatar and India was pretty controversial because a goal was awarded to Qatar, although it seemed to have crossed the line out for a goal kick. The referee did not look at it, and the goal was awarded for Qatar, knocking out India from the qualifiers. Sure enough, at the 2026 World Cup, we hosted Qatar in Vancouver, and our first World Cup win, we beat them 6-0. India, obviously seeing us smoke Qatar, was happy to see the team they believed to be cheats lose. Also, from my CONCACAF understanding, Qatar seems to have rigged the referees in the AFC Asian Cup, which I mean, we beat the two-time AFC Asian Cup twice, 6-0. Even I, the most patriotic Canadian in the whole country, find it hard to believe. Qatar is surely up to no good. You know what? I think I've listed off quite a few, so I'm going to end it off here. But here are some more kind of honorable mentions that I couldn't find much research on or couldn't really explain well enough, but are pretty strange. Here they are. They're Japan and Poland, Sweden and Iceland, Egypt and Italy, Argentina and Scotland, Japan and Senegal, and the strangest one, but I really truly did not feel like I knew too much about it, Argentina and Bangladesh.